Tom Appel, consumer guy at Automotive. He knows more about cars than, well, just about anybody. Is there anybody that knows more about cars than you, Tom?
I have colleagues that certainly rival my general knowledge of the auto industry, yes.
Okay, if you say so. I mean, I thought it was a pretty strong intro. All right, so Tom, Tesla. It's kind of hard to gen up any grave concern about Elon Musk and Elon Musk's future. After all, he's naming his kids pneumococcal. 9 of them or whatever there is. But at any rate, Tesla's stock certainly is in the middle of some nauseous times. And more importantly, he can't seem to move his inventory. And what's going on at Tesla?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Tesla has been on a roll. They've been a juggernaut for about 12 years now, but they're finally hitting a tough patch, and it's a really intense tough patch. In February, in the U.S., EV sales were down about 2 or 3%, but 25% of that decline, or 25% of the total decline, was Tesla. All other makers were actually up. And Tesla, as a result, continues to cut prices. And if we go to the earnings call, which was, I think, yesterday, their profits are way, way, way off as they continue to lower prices to stay competitive. And one of the things that they need to do because of their massive expansion is keep production up because they have so much factory capacity. Huge plant in China, 2 plants in the U.S., 1 in Berlin, and they can't slow down because they need to keep their margins up. So it's a really big mess. And what we're going to see is probably even lower prices for Tesla products moving forward.
I look at, my neighbor has a Tesla sitting in the driveway, and every time I look at that car, I just think about all these news stories, and I'm like, are you sure you want that car? What about Elon Musk, Tom, his future there? Can the board get rid of him? What does it look like for him?
I don't know. They haven't gotten rid of him, which is interesting. But I think the minute they get rid of him, they become a regular company. And I'm pretty sure that the way Tesla, the board, and the company views this is that he's really the free advertising. And as controversial as he is, he has, in fact, gotten the company this far. I mean, we've watched all these electric car companies try and start up. They're all failing or have failed. But this guy has managed to sell 2 million cars a year last year. So globally, it's hard not to be impressed by that. But yeah, he's a powder keg, and it's really tough to know what he's going to do. And we wonder, too, if at this point in time for Tesla, he isn't doing more harm than good.
Mm-hmm. But it's a great point. It is a great point to have a star at the top of your company because most CEOs aren't.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's interesting that he would be both the advertising and the guy that runs the company and drives all the engineering innovation.
I mentioned earlier, you got grandpas and great-grandpas in Tennessee that have lived long enough to go, I fought the Germans. And now in Tennessee, VW plant jobs, or UAW. What's the shakeout on this?
Yeah, interesting story. Germany is no stranger to automotive unions. So Volkswagen, when they're in Western
they
Europe,
love to organize, those Germans.
Well, they have been organized. The UAW, there was a vote last Friday, and it was substantial. And the workers at VW's Chattanooga plant in the United States, or in Tennessee, have voted to accept the union. So it's a huge, huge deal for the UAW as they were watching their ranks slowly decline just because manufacturing is becoming more efficient in the U.S. This is a big deal. Now, we're waiting for a contract. They've got a deal. They've got the precedent for a deal. We have to actually see the deal, and we could see a strike there. Everything's a lot of unknowns as we move forward into this strange new Volkswagen being unionized in the U.S.
Volkswagen, Tennessee, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all. What else is in car news this week other than those 2 big stories?
Well, the next story is how quickly the UAW moves on Vance, Alabama, where Mercedes is. That's a bigger factory, been around, and another German plant. But it's possible once they've unionized one of the German plants, they can get another one.
Right, so they increase members, they increase factories. But so will this then, because I feel like I'm seeing both sides of it, that there will be less factories opening in the U.S. and they'll go to Mexico, or will there be more factories here and we'll have improved car production and in lower prices?
One of the interesting things that's going on, both the Chattanooga plant and then the Vance, Alabama plant are making EVs already. And because of the tax incentives, it is very enticing to build EVs in the U.S. So even if increased manufacturing costs were to sort of make VW and Mercedes-Benz think about not building cars here, they kind of have to build the EVs here, which is the trend moving forward, because of the tax incentives. So the potential damage, because cost of manufacturing goes up, is mitigated a lot by the EV incentives.
You know, everybody I talk to in the car business, especially on the dealer side, and I'm a big fan of car dealers. I think they're the core of every neighborhood. As I say all the time, you know, they're the ones that pay for the Little League uniforms, and they're the ones that employ a bunch of folks. And it seems that the major manufacturers that are still left can't wait to get rid of them and turn this into a corporate sales model for many of these dealerships, and that's certainly a concern. But I don't know how Detroit balances, and certainly what's left of Detroit balances, the speed at which they claimed EVs would be out, matching that with the public demand, which frankly doesn't exist.
Yeah, public demand for EVs has been growing at a slower rate than the manufacturers became ready to supply vehicles. But part of that is a really weird situation where manufacturers were driven by shareholders to be tech forward and have this stuff ready. So everyone's ready to sell EVs. The marketplace is not quite ready to buy EVs, but Tesla is lowering the cost of EVs. The only downside is that manufacturers will not be making money on EVs. Even
That's a problem.
At least not early. Yeah, it's a huge problem. But the volume will start to be there. We're learning how to sell them. We're learning how to buy them, but they still have to make money on them.
Do you remember in the 90s when websites had banner ads, and it was like, everyone's going to have a website with banner ads, and that was like the big thing, and then it went away? And then websites came back, and they are what they are today. I feel like that's the same thing that's happening with EVs. It's like EVs, and now they're just kind of like, well, we're not sure. And then we'll all understand how to use them and how to buy them.
And Tom, I think you make a great point. Jane's echoing it there, that, you know, you get ahead of yourself, and you're going to cost yourself a lot of money.
Yeah, you do. And there's a downside to this, is that manufacturers linger now. And everyone looks like there's been a huge mistake made. And the degree to which there's been a mistake made is unclear, because we are definitely going to move to EVs eventually. We just started really quickly. A lot of makers had to get in. And if you were a maker who wasn't getting in, and I think we also have this controversy where Toyota seemed to be dragging its feet on EVs, and then there were activist groups and activist shareholders getting after Toyota for not being ready to go. Well, now Toyota looks brilliant for having slowed down a little bit. But Toyota also is scrambling to have EVs out there. That's not as clear because they're not talking about it as much, but the product they have on the ground isn't really that competitive. So it's a very weird, awkward situation, and it's very difficult to make it look good.
Yeah, and the climate concerns are legit, but when electricity is produced by fossil fuels and when there's no recognized universal way to dispose of old batteries to not negatively impact the environment, I have not seen any quantitative test that says this is better than the gas-powered cars that we run now, and you got to change a whole behavior set, which is not going to happen overnight.
No, it's not. And there's a lot to learn about owning an EV. We remember that the Tesla, during the cold snap, there was all those Teslas that failed around O'Hare Airport. That was an interesting story. And that was absolutely education, because Teslas are sold in colder climates where they work just fine and charge just fine. So that was owners who really didn't understand their product. But as for the batteries, Steve, the batteries are worth something even when depleted. So financially, just the economics are that they will be recycled. There's just too much lithium and cobalt in those things.
But they got to figure out how to do it.
There's a company called Redwood Industries out of California that has started doing it.
Okay.
And they claim that they can clean a battery out by 95%. So that's the good news. Whether or not that's economically viable yet, I don't know.
You know, sometimes you can be too smart for the room.
That's right, too smart.
That's my problem, Tom. You know that. I'm always too smart for the room. Tom Appel, Consumer Guide Automotive. Follow him on social. Check him out on the web. And thanks for the information and the education.
Thank you, Tom.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
See you later.